ये आ गया ना, हमारा लिंक से आ गया ना। अब ये कल ये लो, चलो गुड शाबाश। अब ये आप लोगों का काम है, ये हम लोगों का काम नहीं है। लोगों का काम। अब कल का लिंक नहीं चाहिए आपको? कल का भी दे देता हूँ, वैसे है नहीं है कल को भी। नंबर हाइड हो जाएगा मेरे को। एजी साहब ने भेजा आपको, मैं एजी को फिर भेज देता हूँ।
मुझे चाहिए है क्या, यादव है क्या? मतलब ये
Everyone is requested to turn on their cameras. Team Rakhmuti, please turn on your cameras, and Team Aknoor, also turn on your cameras. Students are requested to kindly adjust your frame so that every member of your team is visible to the jury. APS Rakhmuti, kindly adjust your frame.
Ma'am, are we audible?
Yes, Vache. APS Aknoor. APS Aknoor, kindly check your audio.
Ma'am, are we audible?
Perfectly fine. Thank you.
हाय मैम, मेरी आवाज आ रही है मैम? सॉरी मैम, मेरी आवाज आ रही है? नहीं, म्यूट नहीं है। सॉरी मैम, मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
है कौन यार?
मैम, मेरी आवाज आ रही है? एपीएस अखनूर, मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको? वॉइस क्लियर आ रही है आवाज? एपीएस अखनूर प्लीज।
In the labyrinth of choices, path unfold. Ethics whisper truths, both brave and bold. A compass within, through night and day. Guide so gently shows the righteous way. Stand firm in virtue, no matter the sway. In life's great play, make a dazzling display. Trust in your strength, let purpose ignite. In shadows deep, be the beacon bright. With wisdom and grace, take flight toward the horizon. Embrace the light. Greetings to the esteemed judges, participants, principals, distinguished guests, talented participants, dedicated teacher in charges, and dear spectators. I am Monica Paul, and it is my honor to welcome you all to the quarterfinals of the Northern Command Inter-APS Ethics Board. On behalf of the 2023, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, Principal APS Udhampur. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Asha Suchindra, the Regional President AWWA Northern Command, for her initiative in organizing the Ethics Bowl 2024. Without further ado, let's commence the proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and beloved participants, we are honored to have a panel of distinguished judges with us today. They will not only tell but also with their wisdom and experiences. Let's take a moment to acknowledge and commend their invaluable contributions. Now, allow me to introduce our distinguished panel of judges for today's event, starting with Mrs. Manvi Tripathi. With an illustrious career spanning 25 years in education, Ma'am has held key leadership roles in renowned institutions such as GT Goenka and Dr. Virendra Swarup Educational Foundation before assuming her current position as the principal of Lucknow's premier international school. She is also an advisory member of Sports Academy Association of India and an active participant in the Education Quality Foundation of India. Recognized for her scholarly contribution, she has numerous research papers published in esteemed national and international journals. Her dedication to education has earned her prestigious accolades like the Avantika Atal Bihari Vajpayee Samman and the title of Most Dynamic Principal by the International United Educationist Fraternity and Aesthetic International. Her dedication extends beyond administrative roles. She has been honored for her contributions to corporate social responsibility by the Pahal Foundation and has showcased her creative talents through the direction of the acclaimed short film Agle Janam Mohe Vidya Hi Kijiyo, featured at the Agra Mahotsav. With a diverse background in education, training, and leadership, she has organized and led numerous skill development initiatives, CBSE trainings, and mentorship programs, including her selection for the prestigious CBSE SWA mentorship program. Her impact on education technology is evident through her involvement in reviewing CBSE training materials on the CBSE Reading app. As a respected figure in education, she has conducted over 500 workshops, authored publications, and served as a keynote speaker at prestigious conferences, sharing her insights on fostering curiosity in children. Her dedication to education, coupled with her extensive experience and achievements, positions her as a valuable asset in the realm of education and training. Ma'am, we are honored to have you as a jury member. Would you like to share your success month with the participants?
Yeah.
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear students, I wish you all the luck for today's match, first of all. And I expect and hope that going by the name of this competition, you will carry the spirit of the same in your hearts and give your best. I would also like to thank AWWA Northern Command for giving me this opportunity, which indeed is a proud privilege, no doubt. I appreciate the initiative and thought that is led behind this competition. Talking about ethics and practicing it in day to day life is very essential and, in fact, the need of the hour. It's good that such practical ethical dilemmas based on critical thinking are put in front of the students at such an early stage to enhance their acumen in respect to all 21st century skills that are required today. So, once again, I wish you all the very best, and I hope that you will do the best, whatever we can expect of you. Looking forward to a very fruitful and wonderful discussion ahead. Wishing you all the best, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Your words of encouragement and support is incredibly motivating for our students. Our next judge on board is Mrs. Sharmista Basu, formerly the principal of Asha Army School in Lucknow. Ma'am is a distinguished chemical engineer and special educator. Her impressive qualification includes master's degree in psychology and management. Her illustrious career is marked by numerous accolades such as the Chief of Army Staff Commendation and Lok Mat Samman awarded by the Honorable Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Shri Yogi Adityanath. Under her leadership, Asha School earned the title of Best School of Uttar Pradesh in the disability sector. She has also received the AWWA Excellent Award from the Northern, Central, and Eastern Commands, as well as the National AWWA Award of Excellence. Recognized for her contributions, she has been nominated as the Hindustan Times Woman of the Year. Ma'am is a regular guest on Akashwani, where she shares her expertise on disability awareness. Ma'am, it's an honor to have you as a jury member. Would you like to address the team, ma'am? Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, your camera is off. I think ma'am is not available right now. Well, next we are honored to have the acclaimed author of the best-selling book Soldier and Spice, Mrs. Aditi Mathur Kumar, as a jury member. Published in 2013, Soldier and Spice sparked a trend of army stories in India and is cherished by army wives across the nation. Mann is also a featured personality in Wedded to Olive Green and has delivered a TEDx talk on the lives of army families. She has been invited to prestigious events such as the Chandigarh Literary Festival and AWWA Abhivakti Season 1 and 2 as a panelist and speaker. Additionally, she has contributed to the AWWA magazine Just the Ethics Bowl Northern Command for 2 years and is a prominent voice for army families on Twitter and social media. Her new fiction book, Operation Payback, is set for release. As an army wife, Ma'am has always been curious about the motivation behind Veer Naris joining the army after their husband's sacrifice. She has consistently been a powerful advocate for army wives. We are thrilled to welcome her expertise and insights as a jury member. Ma'am, would you be willing to impart some valuable success strategies to the participants?
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me once again. It's, I think, my third year being with really bright students. I agree with what Mrs. Tripathi earlier said. It is so good that kids your age, students, I'm talking to you right now. Students your age are exposed to dilemmas and issues and problems so early in life, so that you have a solid foundation to go on to afterwards when you are in the real world. And it fills my heart with so much joy and proud, and also satisfaction that the world is going to be in right hands. Apart from that, I also want to say that because it's my third year being a part of Ethics Bowl, I also want to say that each year I have also taken back so many things and so many values, that it's so enriching to us as well, who are here and talking about it. So all the best, and I'm looking forward to a great session tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are deeply grateful for your invaluable words of wisdom. Time judge for today's quarterfinal will be Mrs. Shikha Atri. She is one of the moderator of Ethics Bowl 2024 from APS Udhampur. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, and all the very best to both the teams.
Thank you. I express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed judges for their willingness to share their time, expertise, and insights with us today. Moving ahead, for our final quarterfinals Ethics Bowl session, we are kicking off with match 1, featuring representatives from APS Akhnur and APS Rakhnuti. Now let's invite each team to introduce themselves individually, starting with APS Akhnur.
Mayank.
Good morning. I am Mayank Sharma. I'm Mayank Sharma from APS Akhnur.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kavya. I'm from 12th non-medical stream APS Akhnur.
Hello everyone, this is Sonali Dev from class 12th Humanities as a participant of APS Akhnur.
Good morning to everyone present here. My name is Adya Singh and I am from class 9 from APS Akhnur.
Greetings everyone, this is Mriganka from Humanities as a participant from APS Akhnur.
Good morning everyone, this is Niharika Langar. I'm from the Commerce stream and I'm also one of the participants for APS Akhnur team.
All the best, team APS Akhnur. May you surpass your own expectations and achieve more. Next up, Next up, it's time for our second team, APS Rakhmuti, to step forward and introduce themselves one by one.
Good morning, everyone. We are Team APS Rakhmuti. I'm Abhishek Gupta and I'm the first speaker of team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vanshika Sharma from Team APS Rakhmuti, and I'm the second speaker for my team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vedri Patel and I'm from class 9 and I'm the third speaker of our team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ashrita Sharma and I'm the fourth speaker of our team.
Good morning, everyone. I am Saurabh Pawar from class 10th. I am the first researcher of the team.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ridhima Chaudhary and I am the second researcher from Team APS Rakhmuti.
Good luck, team. May your hard work and dedication pay off. Now, moving ahead, the selection process for the presenter and respondent teams will be determined through the Wheel of Fortune. The team selected as the presenter will be referred to as Team A and will be presented with Case Study 1. The other team will be referred to as Team B and will be presented with Case Study 2. So let's spin the Wheel of Fortune. Well, our presenter team will be APS Akhnur, that is Team A. Judges, please take note that Team A is APS Akhnur and likewise the second team will be APS Rakhmuti. I repeat, our Team A is APS Akhnur and our Team B will be APS Rakhmuti. Playing the game with integrity means more than simply adhering to the rules. It involves upholding the spirit of fair play, showing respect for your opponents, and consistently striving to compete with honesty and honor. To ensure a smooth process, here are the rules for the presentation session. Each team will be given 8 minutes to present, including answering the ethical questions put up by the moderator at the end of the case study. The reminder bell will be given after 6 minutes and final bell will be given after 8 minutes to sum up the case. After that, 1 mark will be deducted for every minute excluding the time limit. The other team will be given 4 minutes to confer and 5 minutes to comment. A bell will be rung at the end of 5 minutes. The other team is also required to ask a maximum of 2 questions to the presenter team post their commentary. The presenter team will be given 4 minutes to confer and come back with their answers. No cross-questioning by the other team is allowed. The presenter team is required to answer the questions put up by the other team within 5 minutes. The team can decide whether all members will speak or only one member speaks. A reminder bell will be rung at the end of 5 minutes. After this, the judges will ask 1 question each. They are allowed to cross-question to the presenter team members. The presenter team will get 4 minutes to confer and get back with their answers. Once the next team starts, the same format as one mentioned will be repeated. I hope all the rules are clear. APS Rakhmuti, APS Akhnur, are the rules clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Now, Team A, APS Akhnur. Now, I will read your case study. The title of your case study is Compassionate Robots. So, let's start. At first, Eski was hesitant to leave her mother, who suffers from Alzheimer's, in the care of a robot. But each day, she came home after work to find the elderly lady happy, well-fed, and showered. Her mother even talked about some of the jokes she shared with the robot. As the free week trial ended, Eski faced a decision. Should she continue paying for the robot service? The robot would never transmit germs, be late, or miss work. On the other hand, Eski felt weird about it. She suspected her mother would have been horrified to know she would spend her final years interacting with a machine. Furthermore, she is worried that her mother might somehow suffer without the attention and connection a human care worker could provide. We already have machines like self-driving cars that are doing tasks that humans have typically performed. Could this also become true of more complex tasks like caregiving and nursing? Given that we face a healthcare staffing crisis and Canada's population of seniors is growing each year, programmed robots could help fill the gaps by performing tasks that human care workers currently perform. Robotic pets are already being used to offer companionship for patients with dementia. More advanced programmed helpers could observe, listen to, and consult patients whose needs are not easily met. We might one day face choices like SKs, where all of the tasks of caring for the elderly could be effectively handled by a robot. Robots may offer a cheaper solution to growing needs for care. If so, would it become acceptable to turn over to robots the task of caring for our elders? Would a society with robot caregivers evade its responsibilities somehow? Does caring for someone, even in difficult circumstances, create meaning and purpose in our lives that could be lost by introducing robots? Now, the first question for Team A, APS ACNUR is, we could think of robots like seeing eye dogs engage in interspecies relationships with humans they serve. Could we accept a situation where robots work as aides alongside human caregivers? Could we accept a situation where robots ultimately replace human labor within long-term care settings? Next question is, how would you advise SG? Are there alternative social, intergenerational, or institutional solutions we should consider before resorting to technological solutions to provide care for our elders? Should the fact that SQ's mother has dementia affect her decision? And your last question is, are there reasons to keep certain tasks in the hands of humans, even if AI advances to a place where a robotic alternative exists? Now, Team A, APS ACNUR, you have 8 minutes to present your case, and your time starts now.
अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुणा एव च निर्ममो निरङ्कारः समुदः ख सुख शमी. A very warm good morning to respected teachers, the members of the jury, and the enlightened youth. Today, while we all are pondering over this pressing issue, I used words from Bhagavad Gita that truly highlights the essence of human love and compassion. SG was shattered into pieces when she got to know that her mother, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's diseases, would have to deal with a robot. She'll be left with a machine. Now, one question that might have probably come to her mind would have been, how could a machine possibly compensate for the loneliness and the love that SG would have given to her mother? Like, she was in a state of perplexion. However, as days pass, she realizes that a robot is kind of a blessing in disguise for her, and she starts to develop a soft corner for this little innovation. Now, before diving deeply into the case study, I would like to share my personal experience with you. A few days back, I was watching a movie called Black. So this movie was directed by Sanjay Leela Bhansali in 2005, and it basically talks about the plight of Alzheimer patients which they face. So the protagonist, Rani Mukherjee, she was also suffering from the disease. And while watching the movie, a random thought just came to my mind that what if Rani Mukherjee had a robot to assist her and to be her companion? But just a few minutes later, again a scene from a childhood movie called Frozen struck my mind. Now, I'm sure you all must be aware of this movie. So in that movie, what happens is Anna, the little sister, she is frozen in ice, and the so-called royal doctor in the movie, they suggest her that she'll only get cured if she gets the warmth of pure love. I repeat, the warmth of pure human love. And as we see, Elsa runs and she hugs her sister and she's back to life. But can you see the irony? The case study which have been provided to us also talks about a similar irony where the protagonist is in a situation, she's in a dilemma to either go with the technological advancement, which is also favorable, but she's also fearing the situation where there might be a gap created by the robot. But you know, the solution lies with going with the ethics and the laws all together. So I hope I've provided a nice background for my team members to further elaborate on this topic. Moving on to Adya.
In the context of SG's case study, there are several key statistics which highlight the demographic trends, healthcare challenges, technological advancements, and ethical considerations which influence the decision of using AI caregivers. The first one of these statistics can be stated as follows, like the rapid growing aging population. or the healthcare staffing crisis, technological advancements, the economic considerations, and the social and ethical considerations. Of the statistics, I firmly believe that the social and ethical considerations are the most important point of all. Public opinion upon the use of healthcare robots is mixed, with people arguing about the lack of human touch and empathy. However, it cannot be denied that robots can reduce the stress and workload on the human counterparts by up to 25%. And our top priority here is the well-being of the patient. It can be seen that robots provide consistent and precise care to their patients, and this can reduce the stress levels of the patient and increase the overall well-being of the patient by almost 30%. Now I would hand it over to my teammate to elaborate these points.
As already told by my teammate regarding this dilemma of SG, where she is stuck in a situation of either choosing AI, artificial intelligence, or EI, emotional intelligence. This reminds me of the case study given to our opponent teams day before yesterday, where they had to choose between IQ or EQ. Both the case studies are really completely contrasting to each other, and here we take our take in the favor that SG should be combining both the resources. It is well said by Robert Friedman that in the era of AI, the most important skills are humans. Although the robotic services are of utmost importance, they give a very good service, but they can never ameliorate the essence of gusto, that is fulfilled by the human love. But the take we are taking here is to mix the merits of both, to syncretize the merits of both AI and the human care in order to yield the best products, which could be advantageous even in the near future. If we were to elaborate this to a further extent, what we have thought is that when SG has to go to her workplace, it could be the robot who would be engaging with the Alzheimer patient, SG's mother, in conversation, jokes, and communicating with her in a more efficient and close and better manner. When SG is back from work, the robot be helping SG by preparing the meals and the medications, and it be SG who would be feeding the food and the medicines to her mother with utmost care, with utmost compassion, love, and trust that strengthens the bond between a mother and the daughter. And when the robot is at charge, it could be SG who would be spending the time with her mother, telling her about her day-to-day routines, what happened in the office or her workplace, and etc. So this reminds me of a very famous quotation by Helen Keller that alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. So artificial intelligence with emotional intelligence combined together can yield the best products, and that's where we take the take. Over to my next teammate.
Okay, to answer the questions that are mentioned in the case study, firstly, I would like to remind you that the case study mentions as that we can see the robots in a similar light. But might I remind you that seeing eye dogs count in the category of companions and caregivers, and companions and aides, not caregivers, and that is what we're taking into consideration. Yes, we can accept a situation in which robots aid human caregivers in the healthcare facility, and in fact, this idea is already being explored in the long-term care setting. The robots can help remind the patients to take their medication on time, monitor vital signs, and they can also act as company. But no, they cannot replace human labor in the long run. Firstly, we have to consider the cost effectiveness, the reliability, and the ongoing maintenance of the robots. Secondly, human caregivers have compassion, they offer emotional support. The robots can surely supplement caregiving, but they cannot replicate the complex skills and the emotional well-being and all of the emotional support that a human might give all of the people who they are taking care of. So to continue with the second answer, I would pass it on to my teammate now.
In answering the second question, we can say that when we are advising SG, her mother's personal needs and her own capabilities and preferences need to be taken into account. Before resorting to technical solutions, SG should explore alternate social, intergenerational, and institutional options. This could be in the form of in-home caregiving or home assisting services, which provide specialized care to dementia patients. The fact that SG's mother has dementia should definitely affect her decision. Dementia patients require specialized care, and this is beyond what technology alone can provide. Now, for the third question, I would like to pass it on to my teammate.
In context to the third question, what our take is that we will definitely not support the take that humans should be substituted with AI because of the lack of that emotional intelligence, which is of definitely utmost important. Over to the next participant.
So that's all from our side. Thank you.
Well, Team A, your articulation was impressive with intense factual support, especially from the movies. Now, Team B, that is APS Rakhmoti, you have 4 minutes to confer. Following that, you will present your comments and pose a maximum of 2 questions to Team A. Please pose both questions together, and your time starts now. Team B, Your time is up. Please be ready to present your comments and pose your questions to Team A. You will be given 5 minutes to do so. And your time starts now.
That was indeed a very intriguing presentation and a thought-provoking one. Well, in conclusion, as we navigate the intersection of technology and caregiving, let us remember the words of Rabindranath Tagore. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. True caregiving is an act of service and brings joy and meaning to the both givers and receivers. Today, let us ensure that our choices reflect this profound truth, embracing innovation while never losing the spirit of human heart that beats in the core of caregiving. Now, even though that was such an amazing presentation, we do disagree with some points that we are going to put forward.
That was indeed a prestigious or a wonderful presentation. But there are some misconceptions presented in the story. As in this scenario, we don't know the present mindful or stability of Aziz. Maybe she herself is suffering from some mental stability or like some other problems or issues that she doesn't have the actual time to be available for her mother. What about that? What? And if so caregiving duties on the robots, what if somebody hacks the robot? And what if all the healthcare and confidential details of the patients of the elderly gets compensated? What if somebody uses them for malicious purposes? What is your view on that?
Now, putting forward the two questions we have.
But there is a case of a chess playing robot breaking a little boy's finger when the boy tried to cheat. Another case is about thinking about you, a bot of Microsoft and Snapchat AI bot. When both of them were asked about their viewpoint on Hitler, they expressed their admiration of the leader. Continuously, we have seen cases where AI is using self-knowledge, self-learning to go out of the hands of humans. In this scenario, how can we believe that we can mend AI however we want when AI is continuously becoming self-aware? Another question is, in a scenario where the robot nurse makes an error in medication dosage, who should be held accountable? The manufacturer, the programmer, or the healthcare provider overseeing its use? Why do you think so? Thank you.
Thank you. TB, I hope you are done with your questions. Now, Team A, you have 4 minutes to confer and prepare your answer.
I have a doubt. Actually, the voice of the last speaker was not so very audible. So I request her to repeat the second question.
Well, okay, General, can you repeat your question, please?
The second question.
Second question.
In a scenario where a robot nurse makes a medical dosage mistake, who should be held accountable? The manufacturer, the programmer, or the provider, healthcare provider, which is overseeing its use? And why do you think so?
Team A, I hope question is clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Both the questions are clear. Thank you.
Well, you have 4 minutes to prepare your answer, and your time starts now. Team, well, your time is up. You can present your answers now. You will be given 5 minutes to do so. And your time starts now.
Am I audible?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
So thank you for your questions, my dear friend. Your question actually made us ponder hard. And you said that you disagree with few of her points, but no problem. The notion of ethics bowl itself says that I agree to disagree. Now, before answering your question, since we were talking about the mother-daughter relationship and all that, I actually write poetry. So I would just like to share a poetry which I've just written. So it goes like, ये कर्म जीवन का सिलसिला है जो बीते दिनों का सबक तुम्हें सिखा जाता है। ये कर्म जीवन का सिलसिला है जो बीते दिनों का सबक तुम्हें सिखाता था। माँ देती थी बचपन में गुड़िया मन बहलाने को, माँ देती थी गुड़िया बचपन में मन बहलाने को। आज कर्मों ने बाजी ऐसी मारी कि ये वर्गाकार बक्सा माँ के बुढ़ापे में मेरी जगह ले जाता है। Now my teammate will further elaborate.
In context to the first question, what we found was that because we are not completely aware of the family scenario and the background of SG and the family, the history of SG's mother and the reason of Alzheimer's, we are not aware of anything for that. So we cannot completely come across a particular reason. So, but in context to the question where you were saying the mental thinking of SG, that she is not able to spend time with her mother and the possible reasons in this context, what we can like assume or estimate is that there may be the reason that SG be the only person who is working in the family. So as a result, there may be the possibilities to sustain life, to maintain the expenditures and all the expenses at a particular area, including the expenses of a treatment of a mother who is suffering from Alzheimer's disease and dementia. They need money is like one of the most basic things. So in context to that, that may be the priority, and that may be the like thing in her mind to compensate with that, and that may be the possible reasons for Elsgi's absence in this case. And in context to the second question, as already quoted by me in my presentation as well, that Robert Friedman once said that in the era of AI, it is the most important skill are humans. In context to this, please carry on.
Okay, so my sister is currently an undergrad in the computer science case study. I decided to discuss it with her. And of course, privacy enrichment is an issue that has been prevalent a lot in the recent times. But what I like to say is that it cannot be leaked very easily. And as our team has mentioned, we are not relying completely on the robots. We're integrating the robots into the daily care system. We will appoint a human nurse. We will appoint a human caregiver who will be there to look after the mother. Like we said, that the robot can supplement caregiving, but it cannot replicate the complexities and the skills of humans. So we will have a nurse there who will be supervising the robot, and in case she is ever tired, and to remind her to give the medicine to the patient on time, we will be using the robot for that. And of course, the robots go through multiple testing levels. As my sister also said, since she's in backhand development, they go through multiple testing levels. And in the recent times, there have been no cases in which the privacy of the users were leaked, since the laws have been amended and third party users are not really allowed to access the private informations through robots anymore. So I hope that answers your concern.
In a nutshell, we would like to conclude with what we have already said, that artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence, if went hand in hand, can give advantageous and everlasting the best possible results in this context. And we hope our answers have satisfied your questions. Thank you.
And at the end, I would just like to quote something said by Winston Churchill. He said that with great power comes great responsibility. So here we are using this robot's power, the AI's power, to sustain ourselves, to help ourselves. So in that case, we must take a responsible approach. So I hope that we have all addressed your concerns. So that's all from our side. Thank you.
I must say that was a wonderful deliberation of thoughts by both the teams. Now it's time for the judges' questions. May I request our first judge, Mrs. Parvi Tripathi, to pose her question to Team A, APS AWWA. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, right, ma'am. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. But before I start with my question, I would like to tell them a short anecdote. I think the children might be very well aware of the time bank ideology that Switzerland has. So I'm just going to that according to the agreement, what happens is, what is the time bank ideology? I want to tell them that there was what the students do. They are the students who are studying in Switzerland. I'm telling you a small anecdote. A student studying in Switzerland observes, while studying in Switzerland, she rented a house near her school, and there was a landlady. She was 67-year-old single lady. So the Switzerland's pension is very good enough to not to worry about food and shelter in the later years. So what happened was that this girl, she went as a caretaker, giving care to this old lady. Now, what is the ideology? The original time bank has an old age pension program which is developed by the Swiss Federal Ministry of Social Security. So the people here take care of the elderly people when they are young, and when they are old, when they need the time, so that time is calculated. Supposing you are serving an old woman for 2 hours every day, so you will have a calculation of the time. So two hours are added to your time bank, and then when you grow old, you can use this time for asking other people to help you or serve you, or you require a hospital treatment or so. Now, with this, I come to one thing, that this is a beautiful thing that Switzerland is having, that you manage your time, or you manage old people at your early stage, and when you grow old, you do it. But the question that majorly comes out with this compassionate robot, I just want you to give it a thought, that do you really think that robots can provide the same level of emotional support, number one. And what do you think that how do you measure the quality of care in terms of emotional and psychological well-being beyond just physical health? Number three, I have a question once again that do you really feel that this will have a potential negative consequence such as increased feeling of abandonment or reduced family bonding also? So what do you think? I have three parts to the question. First, the ideology of the Swiss time bank. Do you think the caregivers coming there and the robots are somewhat the same because the emotional bonding is not there? As a human caretaker also, you don't connect to the person you are going to serve, and the robot there also is not going to connect to you. It is a machine and therefore it can serve certain purposes. And the next question that goes is that do you think that the feeling of abandonment by the families and the emotional support that a robot cannot provide, what is the wider perspective? Do you see that healthcare services are beyond only providing support on physical norms, or it is emotional psychological well-being also? So you have to connect this Swiss time bank ideology, that what is the basic difference, and then in relation to the responsibility of the family and the emotional and psychological well-being of the patient. So how do you look at the whole of the scenario? I just want your input on that.
Thank you for your question, ma'am.
Anything that you have not understood, I can repeat.
Team A, I hope question is clear.
Yes, ma'am. All the questions are clear. Thank you, ma'am.
Now you will be given 4 minutes to confer and come back with your answers. And your time starts now. Teammate, I hope you're ready with your answers.
Yes, ma'am, are we audible?
Perfectly. You can start.
The human touch is that little snippet of physical affection that lays emphasis on support and kindness by Tony Robbins is a famous quote. In context to this quote, our answers are as follows.
So, ma'am, in context to the first question, which you asked about our ideology on the Swiss time bank scheme, this was so informative. We totally agree with it that robots cannot take place of humans. I mean, the empathy and the sympathy that humans provide to the other human being, they connect with each other. That is something that cannot be compensated by a machine. And our team, we all agree with the stance that no matter how much robots develop, and they are the need of the future, but at the end, the ultimate happiness will come when the human heart adds to its touch. And that's the reason why in my presentation also in the beginning, I talked about a verse from Gita that talked about human love and compassion. So my teammates will further elaborate.
Ma'am, in context to the first question as asked by your good self, you were discussing about that bonding, because you were comparing the robotic bonding as well as the human bonding, because it was a sort of service they need to provide to the old age people. But what we can infer in the positive manner from this is that because the services are being rendered by the humans themselves, I feel the biggest religion in the world is humanity. So there will be definitely that one touch of humanity in those services as well. Although they are just performing the services just for, in this case, just for the sake of living in that rented house, but still, with time, the connection will develop. With time, that connectivity and that affection towards the old age lady will develop, which will definitely have some emotional touch that robots cannot easily infer from. And moreover, another thing that is there about the bonding, because this what service the girl is going to provide to the lady, that service is something she will get after she gets old if she stays in Switzerland itself. So in context to that, it may happen that for her will, which could even benefit the old lady, that she be exceeding the time that of services which the old lady is restricted to, but she may even exceed the time for maybe her well-being, which will also benefit. But in contrast, in a nutshell to what we think is that no matter the lady and the girl who is giving the services and the robots could be somewhat similar, but that affection, that human relationship, and the sense of humanity will definitely rise in any sense. Over to my next teammate.
Ma'am, as you mentioned about the abandonment that the person who is suffering from Alzheimer's might feel like, I would like to recall an incident that happened a couple of years ago. My cousin's grandmother actually had Alzheimer's, and during her last few days, the hospital advised the family to take her back home, and so that she should be surrounded by the people that she is that who love her and her family. They wanted her to be with her family, but they also mentioned that the nurse who was taking care of her be there as well. She, over the course of the time that the nurse was serving her, they also realized that they had an immense bond that was almost like the families. The Alzheimer's disease is unfortunately something that has an impact on somebody's life in a huge way. She actually forgot about her family members. She could not remember who her grandson was, who her son was. But in fact, she did remember her nurse. She could remember her name, her favorite color, everything about her. So we can say that the family members, since they were all working at that time, they do regret not spending enough time with her. But this can be worked upon. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from the actions of others. So the people who have parents or anybody in the family who has the Alzheimer's disease can definitely take out time from their schedule. We should all take out time from our schedule, since we love our family more than anything in the world. it is our first most priority to be with our family. So the people can definitely take out time from their schedules, and meanwhile the nurse will be there. She will remind the mother of the memories she has with her family. In fact, this is actually a commonly recorded case that the patients who have Alzheimer's actually revisit old memories when they're talking to their caretakers, human caretakers. And let's take the example of our case study as well. The robot was cracking jokes that was making the mother laugh. So if the robot can do such a thing, then I'm sure the humans who have years of training and are in the medical field and are serving as nurses also have a sliver of humanity in them, and that they will be connected emotionally.
In drugs to our answer, I would like to quote a famous saying by William Gibson: "The future is here. It's not just evenly distributed." That's all from our side.
And in context of this, what my teammate already said, I remembered the quotes from a poem which was titled Father to Son, and it is in the textbook of class 11, where the father says that, "Oh, we are living on the same land, and he is my seed, but I don't know anything of him, and he even doesn't know anything of me." So this thing is to be strengthened, and in context to what my teammate has already said, we need to spend time. But in this case, also, the feeling of abandonment doesn't matter. What matters is with whom the compassion is being built, whether it is a machine, a nurse, a doctor, or any family member. That's all from our side. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, would you like to cross question the team?
No, ma'am, not at all. Very well answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, may I request our second judge, Mrs. Sharmista Basu, to ask her question to Team A? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to all of you. And at the outset, I would like to apologize for not being able to address you at the beginning of this program. You must have heard about the famous Murphy's Law. Everything which can go wrong does go wrong. Nevertheless, I've heard both sides. I've heard the presentation of Team Aknoor and, of course, of that of counter presentation of. What I feel about the presentation, it was very well spoken by the four speakers. But I must also congratulate the research team, because a good research ensures that the debaters have a good and a thorough understanding of what they are speaking. So congratulations to the team, Aknoor. Well done. Coming to the question, I felt that today we have dwelled a lot of time in the empathy part of the AI, which of course we all know it naturally lacks. But they say sometimes you need to break a few eggs to make an omelette. And in case of AIs, I think it breaks more than a few eggs. I'm going to draw your attention away from empathy towards something else. So let me give you an example of AI failure, very famous one. Tesla in 2022, running the autopilot involved 273 crashes, which was reported within 10 months of its start. And the cause was being lack of driver control while the autopilot was active. The drivers reported that the autopilot failed to recognize the stoplight and ended colliding with the vehicles in front of them. So my first question to you is, should such a complex problem-solving and decision-making task be placed in the imaginary hands of an AI? And the second thing, they say to err is human, but when we do err, we own up the responsibility. Or at least the responsibility is placed upon us. Now, what happens? Where do we place the responsibility for an AI failure? And especially when human lives are involved. I hope my question is in two parts. I hope they are clear to you.
Team A, I hope your question is clear to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely clear.
Now you will be given 4 minutes to confer, and your time starts now. Tina, I hope you are ready with your comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Bachchan, you can start.
As mentioned by you, the Tesla case of 2022, the basic and major reasons for the failures were driver reliance, inadequate driver monitoring, design limitations, recall and remediation, and regularity concerns. These all were the major reasons which led to the failure of that program of autopilot launched by Tesla in 2022. Now, further, my teammate will tell you about the case.
In context to our answer, I would like to quote a famous saying by B.F. Skinner. The real problem is not whether machine think, but whether men do. To further elaborate this crux, I would like to pass on to our next team.
Thank you for your question, ma'am. But in context to the first question, that was somewhat related that should we entirely depend on robots and AI for making instant decision making and complex decision making? So, in context to this, ma'am, I would like to narrate an example. This is a pen, which is a creation. Let's say this is an AI or something like such creation, but it depends on us how we use it. So, in indirect sense, this is just an helping aid, which is meant to help and add a helping aid for humans, but it depends on the developer, the humans themselves, that how well and how nourishingly and how badly influencingly we use this. Over to my next teammate for further elaboration.
As you said, that to err is human, but perfection is divine. After all, AI is also a tool that has been developed by humans. So we cannot expect perfection from it. And we cannot say, like, even if AI advances and can make complex decisions, there always has to be a backup plan. There always has to be a human who can control the AI if something wrong happens. Now, I would like to pass on my teammate for the second question.
I mean, in context to this question itself, we already had spoken in the speech as well that although AI cannot be entirely given the responsibilities of making instant as well as complex decisions, because it is something that I feel comes in emotional intelligence that is well narrated by humans themselves. So, as we already mentioned also, to syncretize the merits of both, what we can in this context and in the Tesla case of 2022, as mentioned by your good self, what could be done is that in accordance with our research, the driver was already present in the car, but due to his will, he shifted it to auto mode. That created such chaos and the devastating effects. So somewhat or somewhere there is definitely, directly or indirectly, there is definitely the human connection, and the human role is of the utmost importance, and AI can never take up to that. That's all from our side. Moving to the second question, I forward it to my next teammate.
Ma'am, coming to the answer of your second question, where you asked about the responsibility, my friend who is a researcher, he just came up with a very nice quote. I would like to tell you. AI is just a tool. It can be used to be cool, but it is too much fool. What it needs is human rule. Now, you said who should be responsible. Then I think the ultimate responsibility rests with the humans itself because they have created it. I would like to give you an example of Microsoft's Tay, Thinking About Yourself. It was a chatbot which was launched in 2016. What the chatbot did was it started to spew about the narcissism. It started supporting Hitler and all that. Why? Because of the information it was receiving from the people on the Twitter. So this was the reason why the AI malfunctioned. Now this clearly states that the ultimate responsibility rests with the humans. It just depends on our intentions. Like my teammate also said, I have a pen. Now it depends on me. How do I use it? So this was all from my side. Moving on to Niharika.
Actually, yesterday only, my sister was developing an application for the SSP interviews. It actually checks officer-like qualities depending on the input we put inside of it. So when she was programming the whole thing, I was genuinely fascinated about all of the thinking and all of the programs that are put there. And I was asking her that, what if it malfunctions? What are you going to do about it? She said that whatever happens, it will be my fault since I am the programmer, and it is my responsibility to ensure that all of the programming is safe. And there are actually multiple tests that the AI goes to. It is called testing data. It goes through multiple tests, and in case of a failure, That is why we're saying that the entirety of the healthcare should not be dependent on the AI bots or the robots, but rather it should be the AI bots aiding the humans. As I said, they can monitor vital signs, they can be companions to the patients, and that they can actually remind the patients to take their medication on time. But doing things like giving them injections or any other aid, that can be done by the human aspect. And to end it all, I would just like to say, in the words of my sister, AI does not stand for artificial intelligence, but rather assistant intelligence. Thank you.
In a conclusion, I would like to quote a famous saying by Vidal Sassoon. The only place where success come before work is dictionary. So work must be done by human conduct, and that's all from our side.
Ma'am, would you like to cross-question the team?
I think it was a very insightful answer, and it gave a positive indication of their understanding and their engagement. So well done.
Thank you, ma'am. So now, may I request our third judge, Mrs. Aditi Mathur, to ask a question to Team A.
Yes, absolutely.
Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, first of all, very well done, very well handled the questions. And, I heard all of you all give your perspective on how would you deal with the situation of the compassionate robot. If my take is, if you believe that a robot is a machine programmed to perform a certain task, then it's a robot, right? Machines don't have sympathy or empathy yet. All they have is precision. Machines don't get tired, they don't fuss about overtime, and in some ways they compensate for humans, for the lack of a better word, humanness, right? We all need a break, and we all get tired. So I think that is what you were also trying to say, that when AI and humans come together, and I really like that bit. My question to you is that the use of robots to care for elderly and vulnerable people, right? They do a lot. Robots are doing a lot of things, right? They're helping in operation chains, they're helping in development, in basic work. But especially for the care of elderly and vulnerable people, it raises a lot of ethical issues in our minds, right? Which is what we're debating. My question is that while you have, all of you have conveyed it very, very precisely and strongly, that robots may not be able to provide the same level of emotional and social support, and I appreciate your appeal to have a healthy mix of both. My question is, apart from what Mrs. Sarmishta also asked, is that there is a potential for robots to be programmed with biases or to make decisions that are not in the best interest of the people they are caring for, right? For example, there is a potential for robots to be programmed to prioritize cost-saving measures over the well-being of the person they're taking care of. How do you think how do you propose we should deal with this or solve for this concern?
Well, team, I hope question is clear.
Yes, ma'am. Question is clear.
So now you will be given 4 minutes to confer and come back with your answers. So your time starts now. अच्छा कौन सा नाम बजा रहे हैं? Team A, I hope you are ready with your answers.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Firstly, I would like to thank you for your question. It was a wonderful question, and it really shows that you truly heard our speech, and we genuinely feel really hurt by your question. The first thing I would like to say is that when I was a kid, I remember watching a movie. It was called Big Hero 6. In that movie, the protagonist's older brother was a scientist, and obviously, because he was Japanese, we already know that Japanese people are ahead in technology from the rest of the world. So he developed a healthcare companion bot that would take care, that was made to solve all of the issues that were all around the world about all of the healthcare issues that were being faced, and to ultimately end all of the suffering of the people who do not have any healthcare. And I remember Baymax being all cute and cuddly and gentle. I remember that robot being very amazing, and the way he handled his tasks in that movie was really impressive. And might I remind you that it actually took 84 trials for the robot to be where it was. So to elaborate on what I've said, I would like to pass it on to my teammate.
Her example reminds me another example of the movie, which was The Terminator. It was released in 1985. It was what it dealt with was that there was AI robots, not one, a number of them, who were prepared to be in an army, and somehow they misunderstood the commands of the human developer, and they thought that the humans are threat to robots. As a result, there was a lot of chaos, lot of life shedding, and a nuclear disaster as well in the end of the movie. So this is again something of the example as ma'am told, that there may be biasness in programming, and there may be even the misconception of commands by the robots. To further elaborate, I extend my communication to another.
Okay. So well said by Warren Buffett. In the AI world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. In essence, one must learn from his past experiences while considering the future expectations is what stand here to prevent the biasness. To further elaborate, I'll pass it on to my next teammate.
Ma'am, you said that the robots may be programmed, like it may be a biased programming, but there are 3 laws for robots that all of them must follow. The first one is that a robot must not hurt a human being. The second one is that a robot should always obey the orders it is given. And the third one is that the robot must protect its own existence as long as it doesn't conflict with the first 2 laws. To elaborate on this further, I would like to pass it on to my teammate.
To prevent any biasness, the government comes into the play. It can check the programming number of times before publishing it to the public, so that to prevent any kind of bias. And from further, I would like to pass it to my teammate.
So, ma'am, concluding what my teammate said, I actually recalled a very nice statement that one of my researcher friends only told me while we were doing research. So it goes like, knowing that tomato is a fruit is knowledge, but not putting it into a fruit salad is wisdom. Now, the ultimate responsibility of using the wisdom in the right way rests with the human itself. So we, with our wisdom, can address the biases by providing more information and the accurate information. So we hope that we have addressed all your concerns. That's all from my side. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, would you like to cross-question the team?
No, I would not like to cross question. I just, if I've understood correctly, I got all your references, and another movie that you were, you spoke about the AI bot movie, the Big Hero 6. There was recently this movie called Mitchell's versus the Machine. It just, when you gave me that example, my daughter has been watching it, so I also just thought of that, and it's exactly the same thing, where the machines, actually the AI assistant that we have in our phone, took over the world or attempted to take over the world. And I think before I asked my question, I would have, remembered. I would not have remembered it if you did not give your references. So thank you for that. What I understood is that, if I understood you correctly, you were saying that to perfect the AI and to perfect the algorithms and the processes, human intervention is anyway required in every form. So, I think I agree, because that is what I also had in my mind, that to be able to trust AI or machines with elderly, especially elderly people, there needs to be a lot of research and trials and success formulas before we start doing this. So I think that's the same thing that you were saying, right? That we do it after we've perfected the machines for the elderly care, right? So yeah, I can see heads nodding. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, team A, the depth of research and critical thinking displayed by you all is truly commendable. Now it's time for Team B, APS Rakhmurthy, to present their case. Team B, I will now read your case study. The title of your case study is Displacement and Sentiments of Locals. You are the CEO of a company which is involved in the manufacturing of products. It has created an excellent employment opportunity for the locals. As part of the expansion spree, your company needed more land to increase the manufacturing base, but this will mean that some residents will have to be relocated. The local residents are not happy with the decision, and a big group is protesting continuously. Opening a new plant at a different location will increase the production cost. The government has allocated a few acres of land to increase the manufacturing capacity of the plant, and this will also give a boost to local employment. The government has assured of a rehabilitation package for the displaced people. However, there is a huge protest against this allotment and few people get displaced from their roots. They are demanding the closure of the plant. Your father is a minister placed in the concerned ministry. He is influential and very well networked. The company's management is pushing you to manage the situation and local authority through your father, as relocating a new unit to a new place will increase the cost of production and the company may lose market share in terms of sales if the price goes high. Now, the first question for Team B APS Rakhmurthy is, what are the options available to you? Discuss the merits and demerits of each option. Second question for you is, what will be your final call? Justify. Now, Team B, you have 8 minutes to present your case study and your time starts now.
खोजते रहे हम खोई हुई राहों में जब से आए हम अपने घरों से जहां प्रकाश की रोशनी वहीं अब अंधेरा है समय बीतता जा रहा अब कहाँ हमारा डेरा हम विस्थापित हम पर आए बनते हैं नए सपने पुराने जख्म साथ लाए पावर प्लांट्स के नाम पर हम छिन गए हैं अपने सपनों की उड़ान कहीं खो गए हैं अपने सपनों की उड़ान कहीं खो गए Though I am not good as my friend from APS Rakhmurthy is in good at poetry, but still I tried my best to amend the words of local communities in the poem. In the dynamic landscape of industrial development in India, the expansion of manufacturing facilities often brings to light the delicate balance between the economic growth and the socio-cultural fabric of local communities. One such scenario is the ongoing tension between the industrial progress and the displacement of residents, which has become a recurrent theme in the various parts of the country. A notable example is the Tata Nano plant in Singhur, West Bengal, where the land acquisition for setting up a car manufacturing facility led to massive protests from farmers and locals, resulting in the eventual relocation of the plant to Gujarat. Similarly, the POSCO steel plant in Odisha faced similar opposition due to the displacement of local communities and some environmental concerns, highlighting the complex interplay between the industrialization and local sentiments. In the words of environment activist Medha Patkar, development at the core of people's lives and livelihoods is not acceptable. According to me, a suitable approach would be engaging local communities, providing comprehensive support and investment in community development to build trust and ensure sustainable growth while protecting companies' interests. That's all from my side. Now my friend Vanchika will continue with the presentation. I totally agree with the viewpoints of Abhish. Given the scenario, it is crucial to approach the complex situation with empathy, strategic planning, and focusing on the sustainable business planning, as described in Srimad Bhagavad Gita 2. Karmave vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. This slok emphasized the importance of focusing on performing one's duty without being attached to the outcomes. Here, question arises about the options or the choices that we have to make in this case. Our first notion would be to proceed with the expansion on the allocated land and provide the promised rehabilitation package to the displaced residents. This option allows the company to increase their manufacturing capacity and create more local opportunities. But the protests from the local residents may continue and escalate, leading to potential negative publicity. Second notion would be to negotiate and make them understand about our strategy. This will build the trust among community. But as negotiations take time, it would be more time consuming. The third notion would be to forcefully establish a power plant. This will lead to the cessation of our motive, but will destroy my duty as a CEO, that is, of balancing the growth of a company with the welfare of local community. Hence, our final call would be the option second, as it builds transparency among the community.
Thank you, Vanshika. That was wonderful. Now I would like to quote upon whatever Vanshika had said before, the beautiful poem which she recited. As an army child, I believe us and most of us can relate to the feelings of the locals who were displaced due to the project. Whenever we move from one place to another, our feelings, our attachment, and all the memories that we have built over that place just are left behind. So can we imagine that even as army officers, even as an army person's child, we have certain facilities whenever we move to a new place. But the locals, the civilians, they don't have anything like that. Whenever they'll move from one place to another, they will be totally lost. So how can we move them from one place to another so easily? Using influence to override protest will ensure immediate continuation of the project, but it will also damage the company's reputation and increase ethical concerns in the society. Engaging with the community and negotiating will build positive relationship and will create sustainable solutions. But it is, as my friend said before, time consuming and may result in uncertain solutions. These were some of the merits and demerits. One more demerit and merit of another option was that relocating the plant to a different location will avoid conflict and displacement of residents, but it will increase production costs and affect competitiveness and profitability in our long-term consequences. Now over to Ashrita.
Friends and esteemed judges, as we conclude our discussion on the ethical dilemma of displacement and local sentiments, let us draw wisdom from Indian mythology and renowned thinkers to guide our decisions. The Mahabharata teaches us Dharma Rakshati Rakshata, meaning Dharma protects those who protect it. This timeless principle reminds that our actions must uphold righteousness and ethical integrity, even when faced with the most challenging business discussions. As the CEO, I face a difficult choice to expand our manufacturing base at the cost of displacing local residents or to find a more ethical path. The poet Rabindranath once said, "You can't cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. We must take action, but our actions must be rooted in compassion and justice." Engaging with community and negotiating a solution reflects our commitment to ethical practices. Martin Buber's words, "All real living is meeting," reminds us that true connection and understanding comes from engaging directly with the people who have been affected. By listening to the concerns of the displaced residents, we honor their humanity and seek a path that respects their roots, which is the most crucial thing that we're talking about here. Relocating the plants, as my friends already said, will be costly, but it will align to our ethical duty to avoid harm. As John Donne aptly noted, No man is an island. No man is indeed an island. How beautifully has it been quoted. Our decisions must consider the interconnectedness of all the individuals because here on this earth, my friends, we're not just alone, we're connected to huge amount of people and our one decision, especially while being a leader and that too an influential one, must consider the interconnectedness of all the individuals. The best way, my friend, to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. By offering enhanced support, we show our dedication to the well-being of those we displace. Also, improving the rehabilitation package demonstrates our willingness. In conclusion, let us remember the words of Bhagavad Gita, which says, whenever a great person does something, others will follow. As leaders, our ethical actions set a precedent for others. By choosing to engage the community, we uphold the highest standards of righteousness. That's all from our side. Thank you.
Well, well done, Team B, for showcasing your insightfulness and thought-provoking arguments. Now, Team A, you have 4 minutes to confirm. Following that, you will present your comments and pose a maximum of 2 questions to Team B. Please post both questions together, and your time starts now. Team A, your time is up. Please be ready to present your comments and pose your questions to Team B. You will be given 5 minutes to do so, and your time starts now.
So, my dear friends, you did a very nice job. Even your presentation was indeed, it was very intriguing. But you know, Kabir Das has rightly said कि निंदक नेड़े राखिए आंगन कुटी बंधाए बिन साबुन पानी निर्मल करे सुझाए. So this highlights the importance of criticism in your life. So we'll move to the criticism part later. But now I just want to share my opinion, since you and we do agree with your stance also. So you were talking about the plight of the local residents, the poor people, how they feel. So as I said that I write poetry, I wrote something now also, and which I would like to share with you all. So it is like, शीशे के महलों में रहने वाले ये कहाँ पत्थर पर डेरा बसाएंगे. शीशे के महलों में रहने वाले ये कहाँ पत्थर पर डेरा बसाएंगे. धूप में तप कर क्यों ये हमारे लिए कदम उठाएंगे. आशाएं चाहे कितनी भी हो हमारी, आशाएं चाहे कितनी भी हो, अंत में अपना आशियाना हम खुद ही बनाएंगे. Now my teammates will further elaborate on the discussion.
As well appreciated, and even we congratulate you on our behalf for this very fluent and fascinating presentation on the given dilemma, where you are the CEO and there's a dilemma between choosing the good for the company and the either the good for or the good for the people who have to be rehabilitated. So we mentioned the points and I just jotted down them on my paper that you mentioned, like you mentioned about the Tata Nehru plant, which for the formation of which plant there were a number of protests, and you mentioned about the Odisha plant, and this reminded me of the Megha Patkar in the Narmada issue of the Sardar Sarovar Dam and the protests in there as well. And one thing that struck in my mind was that one of my opponent, my friend, mentioned about the example that since we are the students of Army Public School, so we definitely see a number of transfers and new admissions in our place. And people who are transferred from one end to another get enshrined with a number of facilities within the new place. Although there may be chances that they may take some time for emotionally connection and that, but in case of facilities like water, electricity, residence, etc., they get a number of facilities. But one of you mentioned that this is not something that is going to happen in this case, but in context to the case study, there was written in almost the end of the paragraph that the government is also taking these steps forward, and government has given the plans for rehabilitation, rehabilitation of the indigenous people who are being displaced. So somehow this was contradicting, and for the counterpart and for our views on this case study, I pass it on to my teammate.
Instead of criticizing you, I would actually like to add on some of our viewpoints, which is, firstly, we have the option of rehabilitation. The company or the government can add additional support. The government can provide incentives to mitigate the concerns of the local residents. And also, when all is said and done, we also have the option of closing down the plant as well. But obviously, that will lead to a lot of financial losses. Actually, as a representative of the commerce stream, I would just like to say that there were some things that you said that go against the principles of commerce. And for the questions, I would like to pass it on to our researcher.
Our first question to you is, in the pursuit of short-term economic gains, what consideration might be put forward to the long-term social as well as environmental impact of the expansion, and how these can be mitigated to ensure sustainable development for the company as well as the displaced community? For the second question.
Action speaks louder than the words. In the context to the case study, how can the company demonstrate its commitment to corporate the social responsibility and ethical conduct in its dealings with the displaced residents and the local community?
Thank you.
As you mentioned in your speech, that there's a quote that go on efficiently doing your duty at all times without attachment. Doing work without attachment will lead to the greater good. We absolutely agree with you and would love to hear your viewpoints on the questions we have asked. Thank you. That is all from our side.
Very good points brought out by Team A. Now, Team B, you have 4 minutes to prepare your answers.
Ma'am, we did not actually get the first question. We'll appeal them to please repeat that once more.
Well, Team APS Aknur, would you please repeat the question?
Sure, ma'am.
Our first question is, in the pursuit of short-term economic gains, what considerations might be put forward to the long-term social as well as environmental impact on the company as well as the displaced community? And how sustainable development can occur in this case?
Team B, I hope now questions are clear. Team B, questions are clear, bache?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you will be getting 4 minutes to prepare your answers, and your time starts now. उनको ना ये टीचर्स के साथ डिस्कस कर रहे हैं That's not good enough. Team B, you can present your answers now.
It was indeed a very,
Yes, Sachin. Go ahead. Well, you will be getting 5 minutes to answer, and your time starts now.
Ma'am, are we audible?
Perfectly, bache. You can start.
It was indeed a very intriguing and thought-provoking set of questions, and we actually had to think hard about it. But now, since we've put a lot of head into it, let's just start with the presentation and answering all of your questions that you've posed. First up, I would like to start with some poetry, which says that a house is not a home, they say, where laughter rang and children played, a bulldozer's roar, dreams displaced, ancestral echoes now erased. Earlier, while we started up our presentation, we also presented a kind of song in a poem which literally voiced out what the people who have been displaced, who are being displaced, what do they feel about it. The main concern here is to actually voice out what the people are actually feeling and what kind of thoughts they are having in this particular scenario. Because overlooking the thing and overseeing everything that's been happening is not something that is supposed to be done here. We have to put our feet into their shoes and try to understand what kind of situation are they going through. Mates, this is not merely the condition to sympathize with them. It's the time to empathize with them. It's the time to actually seek out the empathy in our souls and try to figure out that what kind of actual plight are they going through. Also, there was a slight amendment that I do want to do. While there was a good attempt from your side to just figure out that what all the criticisms in our presentation, there was something that you said. You talked about Tata Nehru, but mates, it was not Tata Nehru, it was Tata Nano that we were talking about. Also, proceeding further, as you said that actions speak louder than words. I would like to quote this, and Vanshika will present this, that how do our Indian mythology actually presents this, and how do actions speak louder than words, which is a core principle of our Indian mythology as well.
वर्धते विर्गुणः परम धार्मिक तोलक किंचिनमा सर्व में निधनम श्रेय परास्करमा तोरणम. Actions indeed speak louder than words. This Sanskrit slok depicts the importance of speaking law and working more than the speakers or the words we are using. While the sloka emphasizes the importance of performing one's duty, that is a karma, directly over merely adopting the roles of others. It indirectly conveys the sincere actions, even if it's imperfect, is more commendable and effective more than the perfect action they do not own. This aligns with the principle that genuine, meaningful actions hold greater values and impacts than mere words and borrowed values. You also mentioned about the rehabilitation provided by the government, but there are some cases where the rehabilitation didn't satisfy the people. Let me take an example of the Narmada Valley project, which was created the Sardar Sarovar Dam. You have heard about that. So the people were not satisfied, and after 30 years, they protested against the rehabilitation which were provided by the government.
Also, there was a discussion about sustainable development in your question. Sustainable development, as I feel, honestly, is actually preserving the present resources and also using them properly, utilizing them as per your need, and also preserving them for the future generation. As we already know that resources are something that we have actually not taken up as a privilege from our ancestors. It's actually something that we've borrowed from our future generations. So it's very important to make sure that we're using all the resources in such a way that it's sustainably developed. Also, putting it up into this particular case wherein we've been told that how does the factory and how does people actually start to sustainably develop it. Basically, it's truly crucial to make sure that they negotiate with the people who are present there. Again, as I told, that it's important to emphasize with them. It's important to understand and it's important to put yourself into that particular case. And that is what we're discussing here, as whether he had already discussed,
that as she actually feels the heartache when she actually hears through the poems that how army persons are actually displaced from one place to the other. And even though they've been given all the privileges at the point, at wherever place they've been put up, they're given all the privileges possible. But think of the people who do not actually have it.
I would like to add a quote. The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, Team B, for presenting your case with great critical thinking and thorough analysis. Now it's time for the judges' questions. I request our first judge, Mrs. Manvi Tripathi, to pose her question to Team B. Over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. So we have been talking about development-induced displacement as of now. So development, when it comes to development-induced displacement, it is a social problem which affects multiple levels of human organization, like you can say from the tribal and the village communities to well-developed urban areas. No doubt, development is widely viewed as an inevitable step towards modernization and economic growth in developing countries. But when I go back to the Hirakud displacement thing that happened in 1948, our own Prime Minister, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, at that point of time said that if you are to suffer, you should suffer in the interest of the country, is what he said. But then my question is the government provided rehabilitation package sufficient to ethically justify the displacement of the residents? And what constitutes the fair compensation and support for those who are relocated? Your stance on that?
Thank you, ma'am. Team B, I hope question is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you will be given 4 minutes to confer and come back with your answers, and your time starts red now. Team B, your time is up. I hope you're ready with your answers.
Ma'am, that was indeed a thought-provoking question. We are very thankful for your answer. As we have mentioned in our presentation also that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in source of others. Humanity is the one that we are talking about. If we talk about the rehabilitation, then rehabilitation refers to the compensation that we provide to others. This can be done in various methods that is or injury, and that is in injury also, that is in crime offense also. But in this case, we are talking about the displacement of migrants also. As we have observed, we have read also somewhere that in Tehri Dam was constructed in Uttarakhand, and this dam caused 67 villages to be destructed and destroyed. The migrants from this village was compensated, but thus it was not enough for them, as memories cannot pay off the compensation, that is rehabilitation.
We can take the example of Jammu and Kashmir where highways had been built and many people's shelter has been destroyed and the government is providing the compensation to them, but compensation cannot fulfill
The needs of
the people.
I also want to quote some examples of the Narmada Bachao Andolan, which is a social movement against the construction of large dams on the Narmada River, and I first quoted the Sardar Sarovar Dam. And the government has provided rehabilitation to these people, but despite government promises, many struggle with insufficient compensation, lack of suitable housing, loss of livelihood. Another example is of our own union territory, which is Jammu and Kashmir, which is rehabilitation of Kashmir migrants. The exodus of Kashmir Pandits in 1900 due to insurgency led to significant disruption and displacement of people. Government has provided housing schemes and job reservations, but that's not enough. While the progress has been made, many families continue to face difficulties in terms of adequate housing and employment opportunities, reflecting ongoing challenges on the rehabilitation. So, according to me, rehabilitation provided by the government is not sufficient in some cases.
With support from the government during relocations involves several key components. I would like to present some of my points. Transparent communication is the first one, providing clear and timely information about the relocation process, including reasons for relocation, available support services, and timelines. Second one is financial assistance, which is very important. Offering financial support for relocation of expenses such as moving costs, temporary housing, and transportation. Housing assistance. Assistance in finding suitable housing in the location, especially for those who face challenges in securing accommodation independently. Employment opportunities, social services, community integration programs, emotional support, legal assistance, and long-term planning are some other components that we can also use to make sure that the people are living a comfortable life.
Also, in regard to your question, that concluding the question, that are the government things which are being given, are the government kind of the rehabilitation programs which have been given, are they enough for people? Indeed, it's not. We have highlighted it properly in our presentation as well. That it, like, economically you will give, like, whatever you can. Government will try its best in order to just fulfill whatever people have lost in the process of displacing them. But what about the memories? What about the key connections that they hold with the place that they've lost? For example, I would just like to give an example that years back ago, I lived with my grandparents. And now, as we've displaced from that place, till this moment of my life, I miss each and every point, each and every moment that I had lived upon in that place. Also, recently there was a playground that we played a heart on to every single day. But now it has been put up, a bulldozer has been come up over it, and there is a new building that is being constructed, just displacing that ground altogether. This is a heart-wrenching situation for us. We cannot even think how, what kind of memories that we hold with that particular place. And today, even to this point, we feel that we are connected. We are connected. And what about the people who actually did live there since the time that they were born? A very large span of their life was spent at that particular place, and now you're just giving them some mere amount and some mere facilities stating that we're covering up for whatever you've lost. And a house is not a home, they say, where laughter rang and children play. A bulldozer's roar, dreams displaced, ancestral egos now erased. Udhared Atmanam. It means live yourself by yourself. If you feel that this is the situation where you're not being given what you actually deserve, the right is not actually enough, go ahead, speak for it, and you will definitely get where you want. And if you are you'll definitely get things. And our constitution also gives us this kind of surety, even if government or any other people are giving you this kind of rehabilitations, it does not cover up for the kind of connections and the kind of things which you had with the place where you left already.
In the end, I would like to quote that the sole meaning of life is to serve humanity. Thank you.
Ma'am, would you like to cross-question the team?
No, ma'am, not at all. They very well answered it. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, may I request our second judge, Mrs. Sharmista Basu, to ask a question to team B, APS Rakhmurthy. Over to
Thank you. I think firstly, Team Rakmukhi, it was a very comprehensive presentation and it reflected your clarity and thought and a good understanding of the ethical dilemma at hand. If I understood you correctly, you would rather take the extension unit to a new location, even though there will be an economic or a financial loss rather than displacing the locals. Am I correct?
Ma'am, with the government's help, we're trying to explain that part.
Okay. So, what I want to say is that all development projects frequently bring clashes between the claims of improvement for powerful groups nationwide and the rights of the marginal groups in the project affected areas, and generally leading to forced resettlement of the latter. Now, I want to draw to your attention. We are talking about a hypothetical situation right here, and but I want to know your views about the economic development which is taking all over the world, and whether it is to construct dams or to construct airports. The Navi Mumbai airport displaced 3,500 families, or we are making highways and other things. So what I want to know, is there a method to this madness? You see, the economists who do a cost benefit analysis, they do not work in direct touch with the suffering or the needy people. Instead, they work as employees or advisors to very powerful power holders like government or the business banks or some international agencies. And their decision will impact hundreds and millions of people. So what I want to ask of you is there a method to this madness? And what is the way, ahead? Is displacement only way to go about? And how can you compensate the uprooting, like you just said, of the locals from their ancestral lands and the sentiments which are attached with it? So what will be your suggestion to the policymakers with regards to the displacement? Is my query clear to you?
Yes, ma'am, very well it is.
Now, well, team B, you will be given 4 minutes to confer and come back with your answers. And your time starts now.
हाँ तब भी आ जाए।
Maybe I hope you are ready with your answers.
Yes, ma'am.
You can start.
First of all, we would like to thank ma'am for giving such intriguing questions. We are actually very much happy to be able to answer these, and thanks for the opportunity that you've given us, ma'am. So starting up with the questions, first up, what I would like to quote is there is not always white or black situation. There are cases wherein you have a gray situations in between, and it's not that it's not there in everyday life situations as well, right? In most of the situations, what we actually do is we actually try to figure out a path which is in middle of every radical situation given up to us. So every time we're given two radical things, as smart humans, we always try to make sure that we're building a gray path in between, not a radical black, nor a radical white. A kind of mediator gray solution is what we go for. In this case as well, it is what we're supposed to do. There are two radical choices given to us. Either just go ahead, do not listen to people, and build up whatever you want to, neglecting all of their things. And the second thing is completely listening to people and bearing all the economic loss that it offers to you, and just going ahead with the situation and trying to do the welfare of the people in that case, and going in opposite to your own welfare as a company. In this situation, it's not necessary to choose one. There's not a true false case here. There's always a situation, there's a very subjective and comprehensive resolution to this, which we can pose. We can, and the best thing is something we've already discussed is actually trying to figure out negotiations. Compromise wherever it is possible, try to figure out and talk to the people. As you've already said, that employees, they're not actually particularly thinkingly involved. They've not put their shoes into the feet of the people who are being displaced. And this is what is the prime problem of India today. We're just going ahead in the legislation, people are going ahead in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and putting forward whatever laws they want to, and they're not actually emphasizing with what people are thinking, and that's what is leading to clashes in today's world, especially in India. You see a lot of cases going ahead. We're not actually emphasizing, and there are numberless laws that are there in our constitution. Are all of them being followed at the ground state? No, they are not. Why? Because it is not in emphasizing with what impact it actually leads in people. It's very important to do that. And until and unless you're not going ahead with the ground, you're not understanding what is there on the ground. If you're just living probably on a throne which is quite high from where actually the common people are living, how will you actually understand that what they're going through? You are in there, you are enjoying what you're going through, and every now and then there's a sudden thought that strikes in your brain that okay, today I have to make this law, without thinking that what it would lead to and what your subjects will face. Your rulers, it does not mean you can put forward anything. There are subjects which you are above. Also, I would like to state that on this earth, we are Homo sapiens, right? We are humans. So we are the supreme species over everything, right? Today, Homo sapiens, humans are supreme. And we are the human resources supreme over all the resources present. You talk about natural resources, you talk about artificial resources, everything. It is down to then and there until and unless you don't have any human to go ahead and just utilize that for yourself. For example, at a particular place, you have lots and lots of metal ore, but don't have human who's actually building up machines to extract that and then use for its own welfare. It's present there 100 or 1,000 or billion years later, it will degrade. It will be of no use to you until and unless you don't have humans to utilize and, if you might say, exploit it. So, being humans, we have got this privilege to exploit resources to some extent. It might seem very harsh that, okay, you're talking about exploitation, it's very bad, think economically, think about sustainable development. No, we are humans and we have to accept it that we do have got the right to exploit resources to some extent. But I will quote the case which my friends have been given about AI. So we have prepared this thing that today AI is, if you say that AI is giving, it's just making people lose 1.8 billion jobs in today's world. But then it's also building 2.2 billion jobs. Similarly, if you're exploiting resources to some extent, why don't you just cover up for it? I'll just quote some examples of the companies all around us. You have Mama Earth, you have Bee Blunt. What do they say? What's their main marketing policy? May it be just a marketing policy. We can't say anything. That's what very common these days. But indeed, that's what is there in idea that you will buy our product, we'll plant one tree. So they've used a lot of natural resources in building up a product for you, but at the same time, they're saying that we've aimed to build so and so amount of trees by this particular year. And this is what is sustainable development. It's not just what you're reading in your 7th grade textbooks that it's about just, it's just about preserving things. It's about actually putting it into practice. And human resource is the prime resource, as I have discussed earlier as well. So whatever you're doing, compensate for it. This is what happens. If you're just cutting down one tree, using it for making papers and notebooks that we're using today, go ahead and plant it. Why do you do it only on birthdays and only for clicking photos for social media? Go ahead and just plant it. Even if you do it once a month, 3 months, it will happen. It will happen. It is possible. And now I'd like to pass on to Ridhima.
As for a solution that Arjita suggested, I would like to tell you about a technique called brownified tree development. In this kind of technique, we take up a piece of wasteland and we create buildings on that piece of land. In this way, we can balance both economic development as well as environment conservation according to the needs of the local communities.
World Environment Day is an annual event celebrated on June 5th to raise awareness and encourage action for our wellness. Today is World Environment Day. First of all, let us celebrate World Environment Day. Today only we have celebrated World Environment Day in our school, and we are very well wishes to celebrate that. Coming back to the topic, as the coin has two sides, a rope has two ends, and there are several aspects of a story. Thus, this controversial topic of development versus economy also have different options and different perspectives. Some might think as a positive impact, or some might like focus on its negative impacts. But thus, lastly, development is the last topic. It is the last option that we are going to congregate. It is the last topic. First of all, there are several options that have been presented by the mates.
So we've been talking about this very much frequently, that we're just using it for showing up. And I do admit that it happens everywhere as well. You might have seen in newspapers every now and then people saying that today's Environment Day and I'm planting trees. Look how much I'm concerned about the environment. But it's not like that. Similarly, in institutions as well, today you'll see many Instagram and Facebooks and XYZ posts telling about, oh, today's Environment Day. I respect it very much. I love my nature, all that stuff, which is not actually true. In their hearts, they actually don't know the E of environment. They're just there, they're living their lives and they don't care about what's going on. They're just doing it for the sake of publicity, for the sake of views, which is very common in today's world as well. In other topics as well, you see that for probably Mother's Day, Teachers' Day, everything happens, right? They don't have actual genuine feelings in their heart. They're just doing it for the sake of it, as it has been enforced on us due to this FOMO of social media today, that oh, I do have to do it in order to show that how much aware I am. It's not just about it, it's about practicality. And again, concluding that we are the supreme species and we should, along with exploiting the resources, make sure that you are doing it. If you do have the supremacy of exploiting resources, make sure with the great kind of rights that you are being given. Even the Indian Constitution also, if it is giving you a lot of rights, there are a lot of rights that you read in Indian Constitution today. But at the same time, it gives you certain duties also to follow, right? So there is a sense of duty and a sense of rights that you get everywhere. Even if you talk about parents, teachers, schools, everywhere, if you are given certain rights by your parents or your teachers, at the same time, there are some duties that you're obliged to follow. Same case applies in the context of environment as well. If the nature is giving you so much today, you are obliged to follow some duties towards it as well if you want to sustain things. But otherwise, don't do it. Future is waiting for you. See then what happens.
विकास की राह पर गांव की छांव बसते थे सपने खुशियों की झड़ी पर आया विकास अपनाया सूरज गांव की धरती हुई खाली सा उजड़ते खेत सूने घर रोते बच्चे सुनते रह गए अब वो गांव के रजिए पर क्या करें ये है विकास का रूप मिटता है एक घर बनता है दूसरा रोज विकास और विस्थापन ये है दो सच परिस्थितियों को देख चले नए रास्ते सच. With this, we would like to conclude our answer.
Thank you.
Ma'am, are you satisfied with the answers or would you like to cross question?
No, it was very well deliberated, and I think the answer was very compelling. And what I kind of understood from what you said is that we need to balance your rights with your duties. And also what I liked is you want to bring out the opinion of the stakeholders to the policymakers when they're making any policies. So I think it was perfectly well answered. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, may I request our third judge, Mrs. Aditi Mathur Kumar, to ask a question to Team B. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well done, APS Rakmuti. I've heard you, and displacement of an entire community, a large group of people never comes easy and poses a ton of ethical as well as socio-economical questions. And you know that, right? A lot of them have been covered by you already in your initial presentation and when you answered the two judges' questions. Now, this question initially had two parts. I want us to go to another aspect of the original question, which is asking about your dad, who is influential and is in the Ministry for Health. Can you help me understand your take on having to ask favors from your dad or any other family member who is in a place of power when the favor is not personal? So that's where the ethical question comes. The favor is not personal and might be for the betterment of a large group of people, but it is asking for a favor nonetheless, which might be outside the realm of your responsibility. So what is your take on that? Let me know if you've understood the question, or do I need to elaborate?
Yes, ma'am, we absolutely did. Thank you so much.
Well, children, you can start with your discussion time and come back with your answers. You will be getting 4 minutes, and your time starts now. Maybe I hope you are ready with your answers.
Yes, ma'am.
You can start.
First of all, we'd like to extend a heartwarming or heartfelt gratitude to ma'am for giving us this golden opportunity to be able to answer this indeed a very, very intriguing question. Basically, our thoughts in this is that we have to be pragmatic, we have to be practical. Today, we are not living in a utopian world thinking of all those ideal situations, which is practically not possible in today's world. You can't think that you're seeking a particular value and you're following ethics doesn't mean that you have to only be sticking to it and you're not actually figuring out on what's actually going on ground and what's actually going on around. And if my father indeed is helping me to be able to promote ethics further and he's trying to build up a better world in order to pursue it, will absolutely not be using his influence in a negative manner. We'll try to be positive towards it and we'll try to just make him help us regarding just persuading the company to build up a negotiation, because we're to build a negotiation with people and making them understand as he's an influential person. So people would definitely hear to him, because I, as a CEO of company, if I try to persuade people, they would naturally be thinking that I'm doing it for my own personal and personal benefits, and it's my own selfish interest that I'm trying to persuade them. But when an influential person would be involved in this, who's actually there in the heart of people, the person who's actually being trusted by people, if he'll actually try to explain that to people, that what kind of things are going on, and it'll basically, if he'll just try to figure out and mend the people's very, very strong and rigid perspective about not leaving their houses and not actually negotiating even a bit with the company. So if we'll try to put him up, not actually devastating people's home completely and displacing them, again, we talk about the negotiation that we discussed above, but people would actually naturally not be agreeing to negotiate with us, because they'd be naturally thinking that we're there for our selfish interests. But trying to mend their thought and their rigid perspective and try to build a positive or even a bit of positive image in their hearts about we as a company would be what can be useful. I'd also like to quote that Krishna in Mahabharata, he was a very powerful lord, right? He was supreme. He was over everything, right, in this world. But still, he did not actually fight the battle for Arjuna. And his mere presence was what actually made Arjuna win the battle. Similarly, my father is quite influential. His mere presence and his mere talking to the people about my problem and elucidating my perspective to people is what basically matters to me. I'm not telling him to completely forcefully put his influence to devastate people completely, because that's against our ethics, to be very frank. And I would like Vanchika to elucidate this this reference from Mahabharata further.
Continuing, my friends, after crafting the epic Mahabharata, Lord Krishna served as the charioteer and the guide to Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra. The relationship was profound and symbiotic. He served as a guide and a guru to Arjuna. Also, he, like, if we talk of real life examples, like we have gurus, we have our teachers that support us and guide us. It's not like they are helping us with our real life examples. In great epic of Mahabharata, also Krishna served as a catalyst. Let me as we talk about the catalyst. A catalyst is a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction. Let us go and read that side. In our real life example, also like in the mythology or Bhagavad Gita, Krishna served as a catalyst that without being involved in the battle of Kurukshetra, he served and guided Arjuna. In this case, also a father, as a CEO, a father, a minister would be like to guide us and help us without being eventually directly involved in the situation. If Arjuna wanted Krishna to help him, he would have asked Krishna to help for the help, but he stuck to his dharma and concentrated on his battle against the Kauravas. So in that case, Krishna was so powerful, but Arjuna didn't use it because he know that he has to follow the Kshatriya dharma and he has to win the battle on his own path.
Suryu is something that I would want Abhishi to highlight as well, because they've indeed read it in their textbooks, and we're not the kind of people who merely read textbooks and don't put that to implications. Every word we read in our textbooks gets imprinted, and actually we try to put it to the welfare of society.
Yes, of course. We read it in our history textbooks about Frederick Sorrow. He was a French painter and he painted several paintings about the utopian vision. Utopian vision means something which is imaginative, which is not able to be possible in the real world. He painted about the European nations to become a democratic republic and nation states. But at that time, that was not possible. So the thing that I want to convey is that everything which we see around us is not it doesn't work according to the way we want it to work. We have to wait, we have to put some efforts on that, and so that the thing comes to. If we think at the utopian vision of that utopian vision of those things, we will only stuck at the first stage and will not able to continue further.
Elucidating it further, what we actually want to express is that never stick to the utopian vision, never think that this is something that is imprinted in the ethical things and that is what I would do, ignoring all kind of pragmatic situations around me. If there's something that's benefiting me in fostering ethics for myself, I'll definitely go ahead take it. Next up is the give and take relationship that and barter system that we would like to talk about here. Herein, we're not taking the favor. Like we're not just going ahead for a favor to because just because he's my father, I take a favor for him forever. No, not at all. Since we've been putting it on into our ethics and moral, this is a mere barter system. This is a mere give and take relationship. If today he's trying to figure out things for me, today he's trying to make sure that he's elucidating things to the people and trying to and just using his influence in order to foster ethics for me, which is somewhat beneficial for me and more for the people, it is something that will get back to him. And today, if he's guiding me further, he's also a part of the society, the environment, this earth, and ultimately, if earth, society, nature, people are being benefited at the end, he is also someone who's getting benefited. Also, I'll try to assure him that in future, I'll try my level best to give up on whatever, to just give him back of whatever he's given me through. Also, in the Lord Krishna and Arjuna that we've put, there is an instant that today we read as Bhagavad Gita. In the end, when he actually was Arjuna was actually too much horrified and scared to see that I have to kill my own relatives just for the sake of dharma. No, I won't do. So Krishna actually didn't just go ahead and fought the war himself. He was there standing and he tried to motivate him, which actually made the war happen and which actually made the triumph of good over evil. Similarly, my father would not be going ahead and just establishing his influence. He being the Krishna, he being the supreme, and I being the Arjuna, the wielder of the bow, will go ahead and every time, whenever I'll fall, whenever I'll just be not that much ready to do it, he will be there to motivate and guide, being an influential person. And I wouldn't be taking the best of benefits possible.
Last but not the least, I would like to add some kind words from American singer Taylor Swift in her song. Never be so kind you forget to be clever, and never be so clever that you forget to be kind. Thank you.
Ma'am, would you like to cross-question the team?
No, not at all. Very well articulated. Understood your point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is indeed an accelerating competition. Each team had presented compelling arguments and showcased exceptional eloquence. Thank you all once again. Now we will take 15 minutes break for compilation of results. Before we go on 15-minute break, I request all our esteemed judges to send the results in the judges WhatsApp group. Join us again after 15 minutes for the eagerly awaited results. Until then, the presentation segment comes to a close. Thank you.
वो जो दुनिया है ना, जैसे ही आता है उसको दुनिया मेरे को या तो अपना ये जांच का मोबाइल से फोन करेगा, ठीक है?
Thank you for your patience. Before we announce the
60
results, I want to take a moment to appreciate the hard work and dedication demonstrated by all the participants. And now, the moment we have all been waiting for. It's time to reveal the results. Without further ado, let's find out which team will proceed to quarterfinals. For the declaration of result, I would like to invite the event secretary, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, Principal APS Udhampur. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, sir.
And very well conducted the entire event.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I will compliment both the teams, APS Rakmuti and APS Aknoor, for putting across their views on the very interesting topic. One was the compassionate robots, and the other was displacement and sentiments of locals. So my compliments to both the teams. The way you have worked, you have done your research work. It was, I must say, it was excellent. Judges also will agree with me that the way they have put across the entire view in an ethical manner, it was super excellent. Secondly, I would like to thank judges, Mrs. Mandvi Tripathi, Mrs. Sarmista Basu, and Mrs. Aditi Mathur for sparing your valuable time and giving your insight on both the topics. I'm sure all the students who are participating, they must have added certain more information with that particular topic. As a custom of result, I must announce the result. So let me go with the score first of all, and then I will announce the winning team. Or I must say you will come to know with the score only who is the winning team. APS Rakmiti scored 162 out of 190 and APS Aknoor scored 165 out of 190. So it was a tough fight between Rakmuti and Aknoor. Finally, I must compliment Aknoor for winning the today's event. And my best wishes to Rakmuti also. You people have done very well. Better next time, don't lose heart. And congratulations to APS Aknoor. You have performed superbly. I must say, I'm also very fan of all the students who are participating. The way you are speaking, it is excellent. So compliment to you all. Thank you.
Congratulations to APS Aknoor. My heartiest congratulations to the principal APS Aknoor and the mentors of the team. APS Aknoor, looking forward to see you in the semi-finals. I want to express my gratitude to esteemed judges for graciously dedicating their time from their hectic schedules to be part of this show. Special thanks to our school technical team for their invaluable contribution in making this competition a success. Thank you, everyone. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.